Hey guys, Adam from Roll Your Own Off-Road. Today I'm just going to take a couple minutes and show you basically a simple way to get this bumper, which is just our standard winch bumper, assembled in literally a half an hour to get it all tacked up and ready to get welded complete and then ground to your liking, obviously. But I'm just going to do is just take a few minutes. I'm going to be working with SolidWorks, which you're seeing, just to kind of show you some exploded views and the internal guts, if you will, of the bumper. And also, I will be referencing some of the bill of materials and also some pictures that I've taken while physically assembling these on the go. So let's jump into it. Here you can see the guts, if you will. It's the internal parts of our bumper. It's very, very simple, but very, very accurate and very strong. The good thing with how we design and engineer these is we use this tab and slot design so we can accurately cut with our sheet laser the lengths that everything needs to be at, and accurately holding all these pieces, the plates, because you can see some formed parts are going to be in here, and we can accurately hold those while we're assembling this, which makes it so much easier and us different than maybe our competitors, that we can bench build these, which is pretty cool, I think. We can bench build these bumpers complete, where a lot of the other guys have to use their truck. You know, they're putting a fire retardant blanket, you know, in their engine so they don't wreck anything while they're trying to weld this thing on the truck. And you physically can build these by yourself. I mean, it's to get these things built and accurate, like I said. So let's just jump through this quick. As you can see in this picture, I'm going to be setting this plate upside down on the table, this guy right here, which is item 1 from your guts print. Then these guys are going to drop in, which is your item 2s. Those are just going to fall in. This is just an exploded view, so you can kind of just visually see what we're working with. And then you're going to set these two item 2s down into the tabs, which we've cut in there for you to locate these accurately. And then you're just going to use a 90-degree magnet. And by using a 90-degree square, or just a square itself, is going to ensure that the rest of the parts for this bumper do go together nicely for you, so you'd have a nice symmetrical bumper. And then once we get those brackets in, those 4 brackets on your item 1 plate, what we're going to go ahead and do is it's going to be up to you. That it really doesn't matter if we put this part in right now or if we wait. It's not going to be the end of the world by any means if we put it in now or if we wait a little bit. And if you do want to put it in now, great. Use your 90-degree magnet or your square. Get that thing tacked in there. So right now we should have the guts, as you can see them here. Let's see, which one I want to show. Okay, let me explode this so you can kind of see a little bit better. Get this guy out of the way. Get this guy and this guy out of our way. So basically you can see the guts here that we already assembled. The next couple things I would recommend doing would be to put this front middle skin on. And with, again, the tab and slot, I'm going to be using that a lot in this video. With the tab and slot, the skin just will snap in, if you will. Will lock right in to place and locate that middle skin. So again, you're just bench building this. And I should say you may need a couple 4x4s or something just to kind of help hold things up while you're assembling this thing, but nothing crazy that you can't find in the corner of a garage or anything like that. So once we get this piece in, I'd recommend putting some tacks on the outside of it, maybe on the inside, run a couple, and we want to make sure that we're perpendicular. We want to make sure this surface and this surface are perpendicular, or 90 degrees. To each other, which they should be with our tab and slot and the shapes. And then the second thing we want to do here is go ahead and put these last 2 pieces in. Those guys right here, I'd recommend on those, I found it's easier to slide them in from this hole here, if you will. Just slide them in and then twist and snap them into place. And what you're looking for with that is a nice corner to corner fit up. And what that gives us, obviously, all the way through this bumper, this corner to corner, gives us a nice V-groove to run our fillets in there. So that way we have a nice strong bumper when we go to grind this thing at the end, just to kind of clean up any of our welding. We have a nice rounded shape, a nice rounded line where we welded, if you will. So at this point we have the internals all tacked up. We do have the front skin on there, so we have a pretty stout bumper so far. One little key I would say at this point is go ahead and once you have this guy, the front skin and the internal guts kind of tacked together, I would go ahead and put some weld in here, because it's going to get really tough to get your nozzle, your welding nozzle, your torch down in here once we get the side cones on of the skin. So I would recommend putting a little bit of weld in here, fill those up. You're not going to worry about grinding in there, because it's not going to be visible for anyone to see anyway. And as you can see, once you get this part done, and here's a couple photos. And as you can see here, you're gonna, like I said, you'll need a couple Bessie clamps, or some kind of a clamp like that to be able to kind of pull things a little tighter, just to make sure everything's good and snug. But let's jump forward and get the side skins on, or the cones as we'll call them, I guess. Okay, so here we got the side cones, which is going to be like your part 3 and 4, which is going to be this guy here and this one, which is a left and a right cone. Because of our tab and slot design, these cones simply slide over the 2 tabs that you can see here and lock into place. That holds our location of each cone, left and right. And then also this internal angle cut holds the angle, so exaggerated, we don't have one of our cones coming way out here. So just make sure, if I can give you one little tip, make sure you're locked all the way in, nice and flush, and then we're also nice and snug along this back edge here. So you may need a Bessie clamp. You shouldn't, with the clearances we engineered in there, but it may, just to be aware of it, just take a look at that once you're assembling this guy. This guy here on the ends, which is going to be your item 5 and 6, those 2 guys right here, that one will be here and here, I got it hidden over here. Those are going to be really going to look for a corner-to-corner fit up on these 5 surfaces. We really want a nice corner-to-corner. Let me kind of show you a better view here. So we kind of want this edge flush with, that guy. So that way we get a nice V weld, or a V groove, so we can put a nice fillet weld in there. And then down here we kind of want corner to corner. It looks like a bigger gap, but it's really not. We look at probably a 1/16 there, which should be no problem to go ahead and weld that up, and then we can go ahead and grind it nice and smooth again to your liking. So that'll be our next step. We got those items 5 and 6 put on each side. And then there's this little filler piece right here. And that's just, we put that in there just because it made manufacturing a little easier, and then it also just kind of finishes off the bumper. I don't want a hole right here. I just think it was an eyesore. We went back and forth on a couple different designs of this, and this is where we ended up. But go ahead and just snap it in. I did put a tab in there for you, so it just snaps right in. Make sure it's straight up and down, vertical. And it should be corner to corner, so you should just be able to put a nice little fillet in here and then just grind that smooth. Lastly, oh no, not lastly, second to last, we got these guys in here, but these guys right here are also kind of a corner to corner fit up. You'll have a left and a right, which is your item 7 and 8. Those guys are just going to be kind of a fit up. We didn't put tabs in there just because we added this in, as I'll show you in this picture right here, with this Dodge Diesel we have this mounted to. There's a little bit of a plastic coming out the bottom, which we're going to request that you guys just take a real quick cutoff wheel and just cut it to the shape of the bumper. And then what this part does, we want it to be able to put the plastic up on the inside of this thing, and then just put a couple of holes in your plastic and bolt that to it, so that way that plastic's not flopping around back there, and it keeps some of the mud and dirt and stuff from kind of building up in the bumper as well. So that's what this little piece is. So it's not, get it as accurate as you possibly can, and it should be just fine. Okay, now lastly is the doubler plates, the backup plates for our pull points, if you will. There are two part numbers, 10 and 11, and there's two of them simply because we wanted to have, you can kind of see from the top here, our gaps. This one's a little longer, so the outside ones are just a little longer. I think they're about 2 millimeters, 80 thousandths to 100 thousandths long. And we just didn't want to have such a big gap in here to try to fill that so much more heat to the bumper. So we kind of designed that in there so you can kind of keep your same size fillets throughout. What I would recommend here is if you have a 1-inch shaft, a shackle, a clevis pin, anything like that, just to slide through there. Put a couple clamps on there, vice grip clamps or whatever kind of clamp you have, and then just make sure that everything is flush and straight up and down to your liking. And that is our bumper. Thanks for taking a few minutes, and hopefully this helps the assembly of your RYO bumper.